Hello, this is Cheryl, and I want to take you through taking the same little paintings I did a couple weeks ago, and I'm making them a little bit larger. And the reason why is it really helps to go larger and larger if that's what your attempt is, because you've actually got to do a little bit different tweak in composition, and I thought I would explain that process to you. And then I add in a really key important concept on composition that you want to stick around for at the end of the video, because it was something that has really helped me in my art journey. So let's get on to the video. So this week, I thought I would do some paintings based off of the smaller ones, take it larger, and see where it takes us. And I'm using Strathmore watercolor 11 by 15 inch. Now this is a little bit different of a feel of watercolor paper. This paper here, it is they're cards, and I got them off of Amazon, but the water soaks in. As you can tell, they seem to blend. It soaks into the paper a little bit more. So I tried to recreate, for instance, this one. This is a smaller version. I tried to recreate it in a larger version, and I had to work with it to get it to have some blend. This blend so much nicer. But anyway, I'm still going to use this paper, but I wanted just to show you a couple of the ones that I did that utilized the same concept of the smaller cards just for the fun of it. Here's another one, and here it is. You have to use bigger tools. You have to go bigger. And like for instance, this one, I tried to recreate, but I probably could have put, in fact, let me go ahead and put a little more color in the middle here. Let me find my squeegee, because I need to fill up this block a little bit more. See, that looks a little bit better. So even though you may have a design in the smaller card and you go bigger, that's when you still need to really look at your composition and adjust it to make sure that the composition that you're creating looks right on the paper. Let me find another one here. Here's another one I did. And of course, the block on here is so much bigger, the black block. And this one, I kept it smaller. So to really recreate this, I need to have this as a bigger block. So let's take some carbon black here and make this even bigger. And a couple things to remember when you're creating, and I'm going to do some of these separately. This is just to kind of just show you that I was playing with it. One of the things to remember when you're working on this, even that looks better. The size of that block was really too small for these objects down below. When you do your objects on your paper, playing with them to the point where the size of it feels good to the eye is very important. And that just comes from playing with the objects over and over again. So I actually like that better. I like it bigger. To me, it gives it more of the feeling of what the smaller one looked like. So let's go into creating some of these ourselves and see where this takes us. Grab another one. Let's maybe grab this one. If I can get a little bit more light on the subject. So, again, we have to go bigger. So, let's just get started. It's using the yellow and that orange. So, let's just have fun and get started here. It's not going to be exact because I want to play with it too. One of the things I did was I used a pipette, but it had some of the orange in it, so it mixed the color. Normally I would do one color at a time, but I'm doing two. Just, I don't know, just because I want to. I've been using this harder one. I'm going to get a soft scraper. Let's see, these are the catalysts. So it's softer. So let's, on this paper, the softer one seems to be a little bit better. And I'm just playing with it. Okay. Let some of that soak in. I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to add the orange this time over top. So let me let this dry. All right, this time I'm going to use just the orange. Let me see if I can get the orange on here. I'm almost out of the orange here. So let's put a little bit of orange. I'm just having fun making some marks here. All right, on our little card, we had some black marks, so let me go ahead and grab this is a charcoal. Nice dark marks here. We do a graphite, almost like a pencil, but it's a little thicker. I'm making different marks than I did. On this one, I had some marks here with the paintbrush. So this is going to be, and again, the marks need to be bigger. The bigger you go in your painting, the bigger I go with my marks. And then it also seems to call for, I'm going to rub some of that in, seems to call for the spray again. I love the spray paint. So I'm going to use some of the black up here. And maybe just like a ghost spray there. What I do as a trick, and it's been helping, is, you know, I've told you before about the water base, but when I get done spraying, these always get clogged, all paints. I'm turning it upside down and doing a squirt. I have some of the blue shop towel sitting here, so I'm just doing a squirt against that blue shop towel to see if I can unclog the paint from dripping in the stem. Okay, let's see what else. I feel like I've got black heavy marks over here. I feel like I need something heavier over here. So what I might do is try, even though I did the spray with that, is try it's almost too much. So let's push that back a little bit more. I need it's kind of like a nice balance here. So at this point, I'm okay with this. It's different than the other one. Let's see. I don't know. Just needed. Okay. I like this. So it's different than this one, but I like it. So here's the finished painting, and you'll see that I took a white, thicker brush, dipped it in some thick white paint, and added another mark, kind of going with the black marks over there on the top left. I just felt like it needed something else, and I like it better. I could have done a square up there. I could have done a solid mark. But it needed something. I knew I needed something, but it took it to dry, sitting aside, just looking at it again. So this is actually what I ended up with. So I like this better. This is one I did, and I used some of the thicker white on here. While that dries, I kind of smeared the white paint in, but here's some of the thicker white paint where I added some color on the top. Here's one where I covered the whole sheet. This doesn't always work for me, but I think what helped is when I added this black mark in here. And it just, instead of it being all one thing to look at, that black mark really helped ground it. Here's another one I did. And if you can see the whole thing, we hold it this way. But I would probably frame it like this. But the top and the bottom, this is definitely not done, but let me give you some composition words here. If I were to divide this in half, the painting, here's the middle, divides right here in the middle. You really don't want that. You want it to be off center. So to make this a little more appealing to the eye, you bring down the center a little bit. So the center's right there. I can take a squeegee, kind of run that, make it very loose. And the eye really starts to, it helps. So you can still make your marks in here. But the whole painting itself is not cut in half. Now I'm going to show you another compositional thing. I've talked a lot about this when I had the membership group and I worked with the people in the membership group on their paintings. And I'm going to get a light pencil. A lot of times people will start their painting and put their object right in the middle, or they're painting along and all of a sudden their main focal point is right there in the middle, and the eye doesn't like that. So a lot of times, if you can think of a grid, and this is very loose grid here, let me make it a little darker. If you put your objects on one of these axes, your painting will be much more appealing to the eye. Let me see if I can get something on here. Let me add make these different sizes. Now the hard thing is you're seeing these black access marks on here. So I'm going to see if I can get rid of these now a little bit, because they're it is water soluble. Trying to get that down, smush down, but also cover up those marks. Okay, so remember the axis is right here. So we've added something down here with that axis, but let's see if I can still keep an axis up here. Let's see what can I do. See, adding these marks over here are not going to take away if you keep your axis there. Let's see what else I can do. I think I'm going to bring in some of this blue. It's not a very strong blue. Okay, that's just enough to give that some interest. And then, see these black lines? I'm going to go ahead and just draw that continually through. So I like that. I may cover this up here. Let some of this dry. But as of right now, I'm liking where this is going. Another thing that might look fun is bringing in some white here. I mean black. And doing the drips. Okay, let's let that dry because I'm liking that. So what I'm doing is, it's dried now, and I'm going in and I'm adding some white paint just to kind of pop up. I mean, it's going to still blend with the gray that's underneath. I'm not being very precious about it. So it's going to still, this is going to have a lot of interesting things. What I'm trying to do is make, and that's another compositional trick that you want, is to make the underpainting, the part that's not your focal point, enough of value of a difference that is interesting, but you can still add a lot of marks in here. By adding these marks, I'm putting them back in, blurring them out. It's not competing with my axis point area. You can add, I can do a lot over here and keep it toned down because there's smaller marks. It's not big like this, and it's not going to compete, but it gives you something fun and interesting to look at. I added these black marks. So what I might want to do is, I'm looking at this, is make this a little darker here. So to keep the eye coming over here. You want the value contrast to be very strong. You know how hard it is to paint and think about this and to talk to you about what I'm doing? I'm trying. But my brain wants to paint. It doesn't want to think about talking. It's like two different sides of the brain. So I'm going to go in with a paintbrush now and just, it was a little too wet. Add maybe a little bit more. Another thing that I can do, and I don't know if I should do it now when it's this wet, is emphasize these little white windows here. Let me get a smaller brush and see if I can do that without messing it up here. So the eye's going to go, and I'm going to see if I can tone that down just enough with one press of that. See what that does is that kind of just pushes the paint down so it's not so stark. But the eye's going to go where there's the highest value between the dark and the light. And all these other marks on the painting that are fun to look at are going to be in the underpainting, but when you have your, like a large shape, or you have it on the axis, it's not in the middle of your painting, but you've got a lot of value contrast here, that's where the eye's going to go. And all this other stuff, when you look at the painting, and I'll put a mat on this and have it up so you'll see what it looks like when it's dry and it's a little more of a finished painting. You're going to look at it and your eye's going to go right here, because that's like your focal point right on the axis. And then you're going to start looking, you're going to look over here. You're going to look down here to the dark. You're just going to look around. And then your eye's going to go, if you were in person here, you could see there's a lot of interesting marks. And I could keep adding marks all through this painting here, over here, because it's adding interest to my underpainting, but it's not taken away from this spot right here, which is where the focal point is. So I hope enough of my brain that allows me to be creative has explained this enough to you. Like I said, it's hard for me to explain it when I'm painting, but I'm really liking this painting. I would let it dry. I'd put a mat on it and I'd sign it and come up with the title, because I like this. So I just wanted to pop in here and show you the finished painting. This is all dry. I have it on my easel. I really like it. I just want to put a little note out there to you. I do have a structure where I will review paintings for artists. If you're interested in that, send me an email at Cheryl@CherylWilsonArt.com, and I'll send you that structure for reviewing your paintings. But it's been helpful to a lot of other artists, and I just wanted to throw that out there and tell you thank you again for being a part of this journey with me. And I did want to again thank you to those that have joined my membership group. It's still right now just for those that are supporters, and those are ones to support me. And it's just been wonderful. Several others have joined this week, and I appreciate you so much. Appreciate all those that leave comments for me, and I love getting to know where you're from. Several of you told me last week where you were from, and it was really fun to find out. There's people all over the world that we all join together in this community. So I wanted to tell you thank you. I love you, and continue to leave me messages, and I just appreciate you and love you so much.